Today I'm ranking the top 20 inside jokes from the Star Wars fandom, such as the High Ground, Clone Wars War Crimes, and even the Youngling Slayer 9000, famously used by Anderson, Skyscraper, in Revenge of the Sith. I'll also be looking at 5 different actual jokes from the Star Wars movies that don't get enough attention.
We decided to come and rescue you. Good job.
First off, at 20 is General Grievous's collection. Now, if you don't know what I mean, throughout the Clone Wars, General Grievous actually collected different Jedi that he killed the lightsabers of, and we see this in Revenge of the Sith when he meets Anakin for the first time, and he tells him, as well as General Kenobi, that their lightsabers will make a fine addition to his collection. Next up at 19 is Qui-Gon's gambling addiction. So in The Phantom Menace, when he discovers Anakin on Tatooine and needs for him to win in the pod race in order for them to get off the planet, he actually goes to Watto and kind of gambles with Anakin and his mother to see who he can win over, and this is just kind of funny because Qui-Gon is such a cool character that people like so much, so when he does something out of pocket like this, it naturally raises some attention. At 18 is Disney lightsabers, so basically this is just referring to the fact that the Disney lightsabers more or less do nothing, and they don't even kill someone when you stab them. They act like baseball bats, and if you've seen some of these videos like this one, you'll know that there are some pretty funny videos on the internet roasting this inconsistency with the Disney Star Wars. At 17 is Did I Ever Tell You About Ahsoka Tano? I don't really want to talk about this one too much, but essentially this is a copy pasta where Obi-Wan kind of talks to Luke. At 16 is Dooku Indeed. For this one I don't have much to say, so just watch the clip.
Indeed.
At 15 is Rarg. So this is from The Phantom Menace, where basically during the pod race we have multiple different alien racers, and George Lucas wanted to insert some of his slapstick comedy in here, which I am not hating on. I'm just, pointing that out there. That is definitely a true element of this sequence. And there are a few different moments, like when Rat's Terrell lets out his little frog croaking noise, but then also the Rarg moment, to me, is a classic as well. At 14 is the Grand Inquisitor in the Kenobi show saying, "Hello." This is a meme that's been popping up a lot, and the reason I call this one an inside joke is because unless you actually remember the context of this scene, you will most certainly not understand what's really going on here, and it'll just seem like a very strange moment out of context. But essentially, this is when Darth Vader absolutely kicks Reva's ass, and then the Grand Inquisitor is like, just kind of pops in as a little goofy hello, which is almost spite considering the fact that she stabbed him earlier in the series. At 13 is Battle Droids Are Sentient. This is referring to the sad but true fact where many fans actually sympathize with the Battle Droids, where throughout the Clone Wars there are many times when they come into contact with the Jedi, and they just seem very sad and like they've given up, so it almost makes it seem like they have real feelings and aren't just droids. At 12 is Padme's jump. So this is the idea that Padme survived multiple newtons of force by leaping down from this Geonosis arena onto the Reek here, which is very surprising as most people wouldn't be able to survive this, but apparently her crotch is like made of steel or something, or at least that's the whole joke, and this is actually explored more in my video from Friday where we see if I can outlift Star Wars characters, and for Padme we did the hip abductor machine in honor of this moment. At 11 is From a Certain Point of View. This is such an inside joke to the point where I just unconsciously have started saying this in my videos and just talking about things and making jokes, where I'm not even really thinking about Star Wars, but that is definitely where this originates from. This is of course from when Obi-Wan in Return of the Jedi kind of backtracks from A New Hope, where he told Luke that Darth Vader is in fact not his father and that he killed his father, he murdered him. Here he said, "What I said was true from a certain point of view." George Lucas did so much backtracking in this movie, as well as in the prequels, just to make that twist work, and not make him in A New Hope just seem like a complete jerk. But it is still kind of weird, like why he really couldn't just tell Luke the truth there. Just the way he words it, from a certain point of view, he's like, it just sounds like he's trying to be smart or something, like, bro, just shut up. Anyway, here's top 5 underrated jokes from the Star Wars movies and shows. At 5 is this clip right here.
Decided to come and rescue you. Good job.
So, I don't know, this is just an underrated moment between Obi-Wan and Anakin, considering that a lot of them in this movie is just them kind of hating each other, which is really annoying considering the fact that they're supposed to be brothers, and it would make the end of the third movie a lot better if they actually do act like they love each other in a brotherly way throughout most of the trilogy. However, this is a really funny joke that to me fits the Clone Wars style of banter between them, and it's just hilarious how Ewan McGregor looks at his handcuffs and then says good job. At 4 is Reach Out. Now obviously everyone's gonna hate that I put a moment from the sequels in here, however I do feel like this is a really funny moment. A lot of people bash The Last Jedi for having sort of Marvel type humor, but I do think there are actually some really funny moments, and I actually don't think it blends that bad with the Star Wars style. 3. Aren't you a little short to be a stormtrooper? I just think this is kind of funny because like Mark Hamill's doing this whole like checking Leia out thing, and then she just tells him this, and it's like, oh, okay, she's not gonna be playing around here. It's kind of cool. At 2 is At Least You're the Master at Getting Caught. I'm gonna say this right now, Dave Filoni really got the banter between Anakin and Obi-Wan on point in the Clone Wars. This is arguably the best example of it to date. And maybe he just watched a ton of Revenge of the Sith deleted scenes because, and if you know, you know. 1. Han calls C-3PO a professor. I don't even know why I have this at first place, it really isn't that funny, but Han Solo calls C-3PO a professor in The Empire Strikes Back, and it is kind of like, you know, funny. Harrison Ford's just so comedic, and I think he's such a great actor, honestly. Going back to the inside jokes, at 10 is I Lied, which is Darth Vader talking to Starkiller in The Force Unleashed. I haven't even played this game, but I've seen this clip before. I sort of understand the context, and I just think it is really kind of funny how Starkiller's
You agreed to stay away! I lied.
when he just kind of there, it's pretty funny. At 9, Obi-Wan is an alcoholic. Okay, this is a pretty absurd claim, unless you know what I'm talking about, because in Attack of the Clones, Obi-Wan says to Anakin, you know, I'm gonna go for a drink, which was interesting. And then the Clone Wars, him and Anakin kind of get drunk and then end up in a pirate jail cell. And I'm pretty sure there were some other times of this too. So Obi-Wan definitely has a little bit of an alcohol addiction for someone who is ordering random thugs on the streets to go rethink their life. At 8 is Rick the Door Technician. Jedi Survivor is an absolutely phenomenal game. I mean, the gameplay is truly revolutionary for a Star Wars game, if you ask me. And Rick the Door Technician was someone that even before I played it, I already knew about, just because he's such a good, funny joke put in there by the creators. And I don't know, it is just funny how you see this huge boss and you think it's going to be like, who is this guy? This is going to be something cool, and then you just kill him immediately, and you're like, oh, I see what they did there. At 7, it's like poetry, they rhyme. This is, of course, a behind-the-scenes interview where I believe it's when George Lucas is kind of talking about Anakin blowing up the Trade Federation ship, sort of paralleling with Luke destroying the Death Star in the first Star Wars. And yeah, it's just, I don't know, there is some value to what he's saying there, and I do think it can make the prequels a lot more interesting, how they sort of parallel the originals in many ways. I actually did a whole video on that, you can check it out. I think it's a pretty interesting topic. However, some people like to take this out of context and be like, ooh, George Lucas thinks he's so smart, but really this is such a simple thing. Not really, it's just like a interesting concept that he was diving into, and I don't know, people overhate on George Lucas for sure. At 6 is Shagai. This is a Jedi character from the 2003 Clone Wars series. I was going to try and pronounce the creator of that show's name. It's like Travansky or something like that, but I ain't even going to really try that. Anyway, he was basically Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, but as Jedi, and he got clapped by General Grievous pretty quickly, so yeah. At 5 is War Crimes. This one is one I see multiple times across many different YouTubers, including my buddy, that Star Wars guy. He mentions this quite a lot, I will say. But Chopper does this a lot, where he mercilessly kills stormtroopers. And then, of course, Anakin throughout the Clone Wars does multiple acts, like crashing a Venator into this Trade Federation ship. Also, yeah, in case you didn't know, the Neimoidian from there actually managed to escape there, so he didn't die, so all is well, until Anakin went and committed mass genocide. But I mean, we've all done that before. I mean, that's not that bad. Anyway, at 4 is the High Ground. The High Ground was when Obi-Wan jumped over Anakin and said, yo, I have the high ground, and then Anakin was like, nah, man, I don't think so. So he tried to do the little Phantom Menace thing where he jumps over Obi-Wan, but he got completely cooked, and like literally. At 3 is Yoda versus R2-D2. Real Star Wars fans know that not Anakin versus Obi-Wan, not Duel of the Fates, but Yoda versus R2-D2 is in fact the best duel in Star Wars. And I mean, there's not much more to explain. Obviously, R2-D2 was trying to take this little light thing from Yoda. I mean, it was Yoda's fair and square. I mean, the drama here is intense, you know? Also, they're kind of fighting for attention from Luke Skywalker, who they both love and respect in this moment. So it really is really deep if you think about it. At 2 is Hello There. Essentially, this is where Obi-Wan jumps down on Utapau and says hello there to General Grievous, just like completely randomly out of the blue. He just says hello there. And then General Grievous is like, yo, General Kenobi, you are a bold one, which I always thought he said bald one when I was a kid. Funny little fact there. But the biggest thing to go into play here is that if you're in public and you say hello there, you know, in reference to Star Wars, and then, or someone else says hello there and you say General Kenobi, and then they look at you weird, then you know that that person is not for you, and that's just like rule of thumb. At number 1 is the Youngling Slayer 9000. So this is the idea that the legendary lightsaber that not only Anakin, but Luke Skywalker and even Rey Skywalker, yeah, that's her name, all of them use, and it's such a good weapon. It represents the Jedi and the light side and fighting for the goodness. It's also the same weapon that slaughtered a room full of Jedi younglings in Revenge of the Sith. So yeah, that's why it's called the Youngling Slayer 9000, and I don't know, it's just a little bit of an interesting detail. But anyway, that's it for this video. You can subscribe if you want to. My advice of the week is to make sure you go to church if you can, and if there isn't a good one near you, then obviously you can't do that. Album of the week is actually going to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy by Kanye West. You can leave a comment on this video if you have any questions about it, any video suggestions, or just want to tell me how your week's been going. Check out the new winter merch drop, which actually released on this very day, so definitely check that out. Yeah, there's an ad coming out for that soon, so you guys can learn more about all the products there. But I upload normal videos every Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, shorts every single day. But yeah, see ya.